I still don't like how we do that, but that's how it is. Anyway, Boogie with the Bull, Monday Morning Caffeine, David Logan and Randy Rhodes are here, and it's politics news of the day, everything America, whatever comes out of our mouths, and drink coffee and have fun.
There you go. Yeah. I love the bass in your intro music because I got these new headsets in my these. It's like you go to a movie theater nowadays and they have that special sound surround sound
Brown
speakers,
sour.
and
Yep.
it makes you sound like you're in there, and so your music is playing it's like my headphones do.
Well,
Yeah,
we try not to make people do that, but it just means that things are working today.
yeah.
We are live on the Dave Globin profile on Facebook. We are live on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel, which is www.youtube.com/at Dave Globin. And if you are on X, Streetlock, or Wimkin, all you have to do is click the link and you will be able to take part with us. Or you can click the link and watch, depending on what hour of the day you do that. If you watch at 11 p.m. at night, I probably won't be there, but a reasonable AI of me might be there.
Ooh, you're being replaced.
Well, no, some company tried it once. They were willing to do it for $300 a week. I just had to write a paragraph of what I wanted to do on each show, and they would make an AI of me, and they would capture my voice and work it out. And I just figured, why? Even if I could pay $1,200 a month, why?
Wow, and that's a lot of money.
If I could
Um,
pay $1,200 a month, I'd have a hell of a steering wheel and a pedal set. Which yes, I'm obsessed with.
oh, speak.
I'm obsessed with owning because I got to see the push button side of a game you can play with a steering wheel and pedals, and a good deal is out there, and I don't know, it just caught my look. Plus, I miss driving.
Speaking
Everybody
of
knows that.
speaking of driving, as everyone probably should know by now, is that I don't drive anymore,
Right.
and so we all have to get this new ID thing, right? So to make sure that we can tell people that we're actually American citizens. So I actually, since I don't drive, I don't feel like going to PennDOT to wait 3-4 hours.
Well,
To get a picture ID. They actually have a way of doing it to where you
they
can actually if you're not going to drive anymore, you can actually surrender your driver's license,
right.
and then they take your image from
But
the driver's license and they do this.
right. But if it looks beautiful, but if you go in line and you actually, like you said, you do surrender the old one, and they just use the old picture, or they can take a new
Right.
picture if you want, and uh, and put it through as a real
My,
ID.
mine actually also has a the veteran. See what American flag
Okay.
is?
Yep.
So for those
That's
of you who are
cool.
veterans, you get that added to your
Yeah.
ID. Now, if you go outside to eat or whatever, and
Yeah.
you show it, and you get those discounts.
Yep. Yep.
So I don't have any videos. I decided to wing it today because I got enough
No
on my.
videos.
Yeah, no. I actually got enough on my mind to talk about.
That means
Uh,
we actually have to talk for the whole 1 hour.
yeah, well, I got enough, and hopefully, in fact,
That's
I want
okay.
to. I want
Sometimes those are the best shows where you just talk about whatever's on our mind and the mind of the people that might be
wow,
in the live show.
Gesundheit.
Randy said Gesundheit.
Thank you.
She said thank. Donna said thank you.
Yeah, I
We
heard
never
her.
we never call her she.
She's on a she.
She is a woman, but we never call her she. That
Oh,
was
okay,
something that her father Pop taught us. We never call ladies she. Like she
really?
said, you don't say that. You would say
Well,
Donna said, or or
Well, that's
or whoever.
that shows respect. That
You
shows
know,
respect. That's
and,
cool.
and in that same argument, I had said to someone that I don't call my mother-in-law by her first name because I was taught and raised that you don't do that with an adult. You call them by Mrs. Whoever or something else other than their first name. And I've called her Grammy for so long because our sons called her Grammy that I'm used to calling her Grammy.
Mhm. So I got a lot on my.
Okay.
I think right now most Americans have a lot on their mind they want to talk
Yep.
about. So um, let's start with New York City.
Okay.
Uh, I think there's at least been three IEDs that were thrown, if I understand correctly, either at police officers or at police officers plus the mayor's home. And I guess either some or all of them did not explode
Okay.
correctly. But when the FBI got hold of them, there's like nails and screws and bolts and shit
Well,
inside the
yeah.
explosive
They're
device. So it was meant to do
they're
catastrophic harm.
they are mean people who mean to do damage. Now my question is that why, if they voted for Zoran Mamdani, would they put an IED on the road or at his house? Because they voted for him.
Well, I don't think the IED came from citizens of New York. I think it came from a sleeper cell who's
Okay.
trying to do damage. You figure New York, even though it's a socialist communist city right now, it is still the hub of America's financial district, and to cause harm and terror, we're best do it in the heart of our economic populace. Uh, so the thing of it is that this mayor won't use the word terrorist. He won't use the word IED. It's an explosive device. Is someone exploded this? Is someone? He doesn't want to use the words that everyone else is saying because that would admit that there are Iranian terrorists in his city, and he's doing absolutely nothing to try and find them.
Well, there could be, or there could just be people that support Iran, and that's wrong. Well, in that realm of supporting the terrorists, yeah, that's wrong too. But not every Iranian supports terror, and not every Iranian is a terrorist.
Correct.
Okay,
I don't want people to think that I think that every Iranian or as a bad person because there are
right,
good amongst them, just
right,
like with Americans, there are bad and good. So I don't want people to think that I'm
right,
thinking that every
right.
Iranian, every Muslim, every whatever is a bad
Hmm.
person because there's
Okay,
good in everyone.
there
But
is.
even here locally, Lancaster and New York, there were two bomb scares so it's
Okay,
actually starting to hit closer to home too.
yeah,
Um, I think as this war goes on, I think the threat is going to get more because they're getting desperate. I mean, I saw some really cute videos, and I won't play them here because I'm probably sure I'll get nailed by the Facebook people. But there's a really neat video showing the last several leaders of Iran, and there's just one guy. In fact, there's one guy who's actually Iranian. He's an Iranian comedian, and he dressed up like the first one. And he sits down, he gets getting ready to do a speech, and his room blows up. And then another guy comes in that took his place, and he's getting ready to talk, and then his room blows up. And then the third one is the guy's fighting. He doesn't want to be the leader. He knows what's going to happen to him. And sure enough, he sits down in the chair and he starts talking, and the room blows up. I mean, it's all done in humor, but it's true. So right now, as I understand, the son of the one leader is now going to be the
yep.
new Iranian leader. So.
Well,
Uh,
from what I read or what I heard, he said if he's elected, he's not expecting to be made crown prince. Well, I mean, he is crown prince, but he's not expecting to be made the leader of Iran unless the people vote him in as leader of Iran.
I mean, but if he's going to be like his father, I doubt the majority of the population is going to vote him in. It's going to be more
Well,
like a Dominion voting machine election.
but they probably won't vote for the Ayatollah Assahola for multiple reasons we could give. He's not able to serve, obviously, and after 37, 40 years, do they really want one? Do the people of Iran really want a religious leader who raps, Iranian people, Iranian females, as I started to say, seem to be very happy that they don't have to wear a burqa anytime they go out in public anymore.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as well. I mean, I wanted to do I wanted to do some research, um, uh, but I didn't get a chance to.
Okay,
I wonder if the Sharia law actually existed during the time of Jesus. Do you know that at all?
I don't I don't know. I don't know when Sharia law started, so I honestly don't know.
I mean, I've seen, I've seen videos and so forth of the women, how they're being treated in some of these Sharia law nations. And I would tell you what, if I was born a female, I think I would end my life early, because
Oh,
those no, no, wait. These nations feel it's all right for an adult male to have sex with 5 and 6 year olds, or to marry, 10, 12, 13-year-old girls. And I just think that's sick. It's wrong. It's just another way
okay,
of expounding on your pedophilia. Um, and,
yeah,
and, and what they have to go through, they have, they go through surgical atrocities to make sure that their bodies in some certain areas, if I understand correctly, are not appealing to other men.
yeah,
Um, Also, if a woman wants a divorce, she has to have sex with her someone in the family to break the marriage vows. Um, it's just nuts.
right. So
These poor women. Uh, God, give them guns. Let them fight their way out of the way of life.
I assume you know there will be some portion of Iran which will want to stay that way, and there will be a large portion that will not want to stay that way, and they will move forward from that. Uh, to me, it's bad enough that the country supports it or did support it under the Ayatollah. That if I was the United States and had to buy oil around the world, I wouldn't buy Iranian oil.
You know,
Not that it is the oil company's fault, unless the oil company is owned by the, the country, in which case it is their fault.
I
Uh,
mean, look what's happening in England right now because of the population of the Muslims is so large in certain towns and cities that they actually are living under Sharia law.
well,
The English citizen who was born there, who is their country, they cannot go into these certain towns. They can't travel through the town to get to the other side. Even the military, to some respect, is afraid to go in there because of how they're living.
but
Um, my dad was stationed there for 3 years, and it was an absolute beautiful country. And we went, we traveled, we toured, we did all the castles. You can't do that safely anymore with the way the people are living.
right, but that came up here in the United States, even when areas went Sharia law, and you know they had their own policing that said, you can't come in here. Well, no, I'm sorry, you're here in the United States, so we overrule you, and we are going to come in, and we're going to make sure that Sharia law, which is constitutionally unbanned, I mean, not allowed, unallowed in the United States, is not going on. And if you want to continue in Sharia law, then you have an obligation to leave the United States, wherever you are.
I just hope that our nation as a whole uh, stays strong enough to keep fighting off these new horrible living rights. Um, I mean, look at Virginia, for example. Virginia was the heart of the Civil War between the North and the South, as the Yankees would say it. The War
Right.
of Independence is how the Southern people would say it. But
Yep.
now they got these idiots in politics now that's ruling over their state, and she goes against everything that the Southern people as a whole stand for. And I asked my Southern friends, how in the hell did these people get into office in your state where these the state was at one point Southern heritage loving state, and now you got these idiots who are trying to take all that away from you.
If
He said the problem is what happened is that people from the northern states are moving into Virginia to live, and they're bringing with them their politics. And we, as the citizens of the Virginia, aren't getting out the vote.
but I think what people are bringing in with them is that, hey, no, this is our country and we're going back to the way that we were without you because we don't agree and never agreed to Sharia law. And there's no right that you have to be in this country trying to convert us into a Sharia law nation. We have laws. We've had laws for nearly 250 years. Some work, of course, and some don't. And we hopefully work on the ones that don't.
See,
Uh,
I've heard conversations. 'Cause I talked to different people from,
okay.
and I asked them, why are the Western nations like Canada, Australia, England, some of the others allowing this influx of Muslims into their countries and to allow them to live the way they did in their countries in their new country and actually force it on to the citizens of the nation. He said because they are sorrowful for what they did, their nations did, their governments did back in the day when they were trying to force their way of life onto the people in these Eastern countries, and that they are allowing that to happen in reverse, allow them to come in and convert their people and make them their people live the way they do. I just think it's bullshit.
Well, people are going to try to come take over control of the United States, regardless of what they are. Uh, as far as what we call politicians, they should not be able to run if they accept that Sharia law is okay.
Well, okay, but look at the people who took the oath on the Quran. Okay, and that idiot lady who has her what's the Palestinian flag outside her office. Damn well that these individuals, governors, senators, and mayors, and so forth, who got swore in on the Quran and have their flag of their birth or whatever in their offices or outside their offices, they're not there in the best interest of our nation as a whole. They're there to try and get as much as they can for their own people.
And those
Speaking of,
people should be removed. Ilhan Omar should be removed from the Senate because her priority is the people of Iran, excuse me, of Somalia. And she has said that her priority is the people of Somalia, which I'm assuming means get them into the United States and take care of them, or send large sums of money to Somalia. Well, we're not doing that. We're not. When Somalia becomes the 51st state, which I don't think will happen, they
God, I hope not.
they will be entitled. But if I was in the House of Representatives or in the Senate, I would be saying, well, you know what? You got a probationary period before that happens, because we're not going through Minnesota again. I mean, they've spent so much money on illegal stuff that if they had that, 15, $16 billion or more, then Minnesota would be a great.
Yeah, as I understand it, they're going after Ilmar and the other one for all kinds of fraud and theft of money and stuff like that. Do you think anyone of circumstance, position, is going to ever suffer being handcuffed and carted off to jail. I don't. I don't see any of them going to jail.
Ilhan Omar may be removed from the House of Representatives and may be perp walked, and whether or not she goes to jail, I don't know. Governor Tim Walz, whether or not he goes to jail, I doubt it. You might get lucky enough to see a perp walk of him. I don't know. The perp walk to me really doesn't mean much unless you are saying they're guilty and you put them away or you send them away. And I don't think Hillary Clinton could be as powerful as she thinks she is in a place with Sharia law.
Yeah, I mean,
And she's not really. She's the public face of those people who think they control the country.
I watched pretty much all the deposition of Bill and Hillary, and you see the difference in the strength. First off, I mean, he's just a whisper away from going into a nursing home. He's very weak, and you saw the way he reacted when he was seeing those pictures.
Yeah.
Now,
Which he knew was going to be introduced as evidence. But you could see it in his face, like you said, that he was very interested in those pictures. And he wanted those pictures until the male lawyer said, stop it.
As I understand from Newsmax, his female lawyer was actually also with Epstein on his island.
Well, I don't know. No, I don't know that part of it. I just wish they would get done with the whole thing. Go after whoever they're going to go after, nail whoever they're going to nail, and then let the courts decide whether or not they are guilty and just go away. I mean, I'm happy knowing that Bill Clinton will be judged for what he did. I'm happy for knowing that Donald Trump will either be exposed for what he did and didn't tell us, or the truth, what he didn't do, and it goes away. We here in this country seem to spend too much time on too many things. There's too many distractions that keep us away from doing what we need to do. California wanted to find billionaires 5% in some kind of a tax to fund the state, I guess, because the state is broke. Well, that tells me, do you really want that guy, Gavin Newsom, who's the governor and is responsible for the situation in California, do you really want him to be your president? Because I would think the 49 other states would be saying, hell no.
As it stands right now, I don't trust any future elections. I don't care if it's a mail-in ballot or an in-person ballot, because as long as you're using a computer to record your voting selection, you don't know. And it's still coming out where the votes went to some other country and it was downloaded and it was manipulated and was sent back. And our voting system sucks.
They're accused of doing it. I can't say they did. I mean, they did go to Venezuela, which is the headquarters of Dominion, but whether or not they were actually screwed up in Venezuela and sent back, I personally don't actually know.
Well, I want to know is why the votes are leaving our country to start with. I mean, don't we have the capability of counting the votes ourselves?
Well, what should have been a flag to somebody on the internet thingy is that the votes were sent to Venezuela. And if you're sitting there doing your job and our ballots are being sent to Venezuela in a large capacity, and you all of a sudden see that Donald Trump is projected to win and Joe Biden is not, and then all of a sudden it's reversed and Joe Biden is expected to win, and something's wrong, then yes, something was wrong.
We saw it on live TV when the numbers shifted.
We
I
did.
mean,
I watched it until the numbers shifted, and then I think I went to bed because I just didn't want to stay up anymore. But to me, the only ones that need the paper ballot, if you want to do that, are people in the military that are not in the United States to vote, and people who are disabled and may not be able to get to a poll to vote. Now, disabled people have, depending on where you live, some have the poll come to them, but then that's where you count it. And it should be easy to count because if you're talking about a facility with 300 or 400 people, it'll take a couple hours, but you should be able to count it.
yeah, I mean, then you saw where the postal service was dumping the votes into the
Well,
creeks and into dumpsters, and um,
they were dumping so much because they just couldn't handle the volume that they were expected to handle, along with everything else that they are responsible for managing
no,
the
come
volume of.
Oh no, that's they were dumping the votes to make sway the election
Well,
process, not
right,
because
of
it's too
course.
heavy to carry or
Well,
too
no,
much to
no, no, no,
carry.
no, no. I meant, you know, you have a job of delivering the mail to people every day or picking up their mail that needs to be delivered somewhere else. You obviously do not have enough time and the people to properly watch the counting of mail. And I would be upset because my ballots are returned to the town clerk uh, in whatever city that you live in. So I got to make sure that it gets to them and gets counted.
Yeah, I mean it's just like that truck driver who testified. He was hauling a load of votes uh, from New York to Pennsylvania, and he was explaining how he saw all these ballots. Oh, they're ballots, not
Yeah,
actual vote, but they're ballots, and he saw where they were filled out,
yeah,
and they're brand new, never went out to anybody, but they're already filled out and so forth to be counted as a valid vote. And he said, he took it from New York to Pennsylvania, and normally he said I stay with my rig. He said I was told to leave the trailer and go off somewhere and come back
that's
later. He said
that's
I came back later and it was empty.
no, 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 no. That should have been a red flag that something's wrong, and I would have said, "Hey, no, I'm sorry, I'm taking my rig and I'm leaving." And I own the trailer, so get your shit out of my trailer, and I'm taking it with me too, and I'm going to stand right here and watch you take it out of there. Well, he probably would have ended up in ways that we don't want to discuss,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
but but
probably.
but that's that's the state of the world. You would think they would have been smart enough if they were cheating to hire their own drivers and their own equipment.
So did you hear we lost another soldier?
I didn't hear that we lost another soldier. I'm very sorry if we did lose another soldier. It just in my head brings back, why are we still going to war? Period. With anybody. It doesn't matter if we later like you or don't like you. Why are we going to war? Why aren't we just sending representatives or the right people and sitting down at a table and, like I've said before, agree on what we agree on and then shift it to what we don't agree on and work on that and then go from there? What you do in the borders of your country should be legal humanitarian stuff in each country, but how you operate your country, we're not really responsible for.
Well,
He doesn't want the Ukrainian people. He wants the Ukrainian minerals and other stuff, and that's why these two stupid, and I hate to use that word, but that's why these two stupid people are fighting. You
well,
know,
He also, we're talking about Putin. Putin's also saying that a lot of the citizens in Ukraine speak Russian and are therefore Russian citizens, and he's going in there to protect the Russian citizens from the Ukrainians. And
I,
I think that's the excuse he's using for kidnapping the children because he wants the children to be raised as
well,
Russians.
well, people tend to believe that, but look at what is happening, and that should tell you or flag that maybe there's something more, and you need to look at what is going more. And those people that speak Russian, if they want to be Russian people, then they need to leave Ukraine and go someplace else if Ukraine doesn't want them, and be Russians. They want a section of Ukraine, like I said, which is where all the resources are, and they don't want the Ukrainians to have them. And that, you know, they've been fighting for over 20 years and they're going to keep fighting. Well, if you look at the agreements as they were issued under Gorbachev, those people, those countries had a right to leave the USSR, pull out of the Union of Soviet socialist republics, and become a republic, become their own republic. And those that wanted to pulled out and left. It's not for him to say, I want the USSR back, and the USSR is going to come back, and eventually he's going to be at war with everybody.
I wonder why he broke up his country. I mean, after all the years they fought to gain all that extra territory, to one day say, you know what, we don't need these nations. Let's just let them break away.
Well,
Why he
I
did
think
that?
I think it was a move to bring them into the real world as independent republics, and they had that right, and they did it. I mean, most of them left. I don't think there's any USSR left except for Russia.
Well, let me ask you this question. And I've always wondered this question in my mind.
Okay.
And you being Jewish, be a good person to ask of this question.
Okay.
No, I've been seeing advertising where, especially about Ukraine right now, oh, these poor Jewish people, they're old, they're elderly, they don't have food, they don't have water, they don't have clothing, and the police send your money, blah, blah, blah. Why do the Jewish people who are still really being treated poorly in these various nations, I'm pretty sure, doesn't Israel have some kind of repatriation kind of thing, where if you want to go back to the homeland, they'll bring you home for free?
Well, I think they do, but I mean, that's not the answer. Why should you give up your home in the United States in Ukraine? Why should you give up your home in Ukraine and be forced to go to Israel, who's fighting another country right now over the same thing? I mean, you should be allowed to live wherever you
No,
want.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be forced back, but voluntarily. Why wouldn't they not want to go home to live in Israel? That's
Well, it's the same question as people from the United States that serve in the military. I know a person that is in Ukraine, and when he retired from the military, he started a business in Ukraine, and he's very happy doing what he does. And there's no need to leave Ukraine.
Speaking of Ukraine, did you see? Right now Iran is using these very cheaply made drones to hit their targets, and so far they've been successful. They're getting through, and we're launching a half a dozen or more very expensive multi-million-dollar rockets to shoot down a couple $100,000 drone. I heard on Newsmax that we're actually sending people to Ukraine to learn from them how to shoot down the drones. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, they've been dealing with that technology with us and Ukraine, and I would think that they have the experience, and maybe it's necessary because if you're shooting off, like you said, 10, $400,000 missiles at, at one drone that's worth maybe 50 cents, then we're doing something wrong.
Well,
And maybe what we need to be doing is more capturing the drone and taking them apart and looking at them and seeing why they have technology that we don't.
we did. They found that the one drone had a Russian computer chip in it that's used to prevent us from tracking them.
Okay. Well,
So it has some Russian, computer shit inside of them.
so if everybody is pro jamming everybody else, what's the point?
I know. I know.
I mean, I know in the old days in the game of war, you took out their communications first, incoming and outgoing, because that left them blind to the rest of the world, and they were basically a sitting duck. But now I don't think that happens. I think countries have moved beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, God, I saw a video where the Chinese have created this drone that looks just like a bird, flies like a bird, acts like a bird, and you would never know unless you got it up front, up close to it, and had it in your hand. The technology is going to be so phenomenal. But I'm going to say this again. It's so far I've been able to say my mind and not get plastered by it after the fact. But I think that you know, Cuba is the next nation on Trump's target list. He's making comments like, the country's getting ready to fall, and that the people are reaching out to us for help. And I understand that people want their independence, but aren't we doing the same thing that Russia is doing? And we're accusing Russia of land grabs because we're going after Cuba next. Ukraine, Iran is almost ready to fall completely. We're going to get involved in their politics, choose their leadership. We're going to teach them to live the way the Western
Right.
world lives. Um, not saying that's a bad thing, but aren't we essentially, land grabbing like we're accusing Russia of doing?
We are land grabbing, and yes, they are land grabbing too, and China is probably land grabbing too, to make sure that, in our case, China and Russia don't grab this, and or somebody else, and then by the same token, everybody's grabbing what they want to make sure that they are protecting everybody. And by protecting everybody, we should not be sending pallets of cash, our cash, that is not theirs, never was theirs. Why are we sending pallets of cash to another country? No. You want us there, we'll come in there. We have skill. We have the Army Corps of Engineers, which is known around the world as a builder and developer. And if you want your own Dubai, we can probably help build you. But no, it's your country. You got to pay for it.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just thing we're getting.
Yes, if we spread our army around the world, or our military around the world very thinly, we are not in a position to take care of ourselves. And the Democrats just hate everything Trump does anyway. It wouldn't matter if Trump showed up at your mother's house with a dozen roses and wanted to give them to your mother on her 100th birthday. They just hate everything he does. Some do, some don't.
That was the other conversation that Newsmax was talking about today. Is that are we overstretched in our military supplies? Because
I think we are.
because Trump mentioned that he's going to sell stuff to Ukraine. He's going to sell more to Israel. He's going to have to replenish the 12 nations that are at war with Iran because they're being attacked. So we're going to be giving them. And he authorized our homeland military suppliers
Right.
the money to what's four, not quadruple, was that four times to increase production by 4 times what they normally do.
Right.
So again, like you and I mentioned before, there's a lot of people getting rich off these wars.
Yeah. And that needs to change. If you're only in the war business because you want to get rich and you're selling to both sides, what's the purpose? To me, it's like the Revolutionary War doesn't make any sense to me because King George, I think it is, funded both sides. So he didn't lose either way because we ended up owing him a hell of a lot of money that is never going to be paid off because it's been compounding interest. And as I've said before, my youngest grandchild, my granddaughter, is going to grow up and realize she owes billions and trillions of dollars to some country that's never going to get paid off. It's weird, but it feels like we have to take our country over again. And we have to take our country over again from Democrats who don't agree that this is wrong. You can't just keep throwing money. You have to, at some point, you do have to figure out a solution and go from there.
And that's why Trump is using the tariffs. I mean, when I was in high school, we had a civics class, and we were taught that tariffs was one way that nations brought money into the coffers, and that was to charge a tax on products being sold to a nation,
right,
and on products coming into a nation. That to be the best neighbors is to make the tariffs equal and not try and make the one nation pay more than the other for products.
But that's where we lost. In other presidencies before Trump, that's where we lost.
Correct. And that's what Trump is trying to reverse.
We were charging countries, just for example, $100 million to bring in a boatload of this, and they were charging us $400 million to bring a boatload of this. And no, it's got, like you just said, it's got to be equal to make it work. It's got to be equal. And then when it's equal, like I've said, it forces the bargaining table in everybody breaking bread and working on what they can and what they can't and working harder on what they can't. And we go from there. But he's also trying to turn it into a tariff-based economy because the tariffs, according to him, are trillions of dollars that could fund the federal government, and you wouldn't need things like the IRS, which I thought was created to collect taxes that we owe to other countries, not really collect taxes to run the federal government, which decided that we now, our only purpose in life is to pay taxes. And the Fed spends, $1 billion on the new building that they moved into. I think Trump cut that in the butt, or tried to cut it in the butt. And it's really right. Do we need $1 billion ballroom at the White House? No, but we need a ballroom at the White House. The presidents, he or she, are entitled to have that place at the White House.
I mean, we should. I mean, come on. A nation as large as ours and as wealthy as ours, and you're holding shit outside on the lawn like a family get together under a canopy tent. I mean, that's embarrassing.
Well, but That's true, but it's also the same as nobody cared when Barack Obama wanted to build a $300 million
Basketball.
basketball court over a removable tennis court so that those that wanted to play basketball could play basketball, and then those that wanted to play tennis could play tennis.
Speaking of sports, did you hear about the Iranian women's soccer team?
No.
So when their national anthem was played, they refused to sing it. Okay,
Okay.
and the Iranian government took offense to that. And when the women return to their homeland, they are facing the death penalty. So Trump has reached out to Australia, asking them to take them in and give them asylum. And they said if they don't, he said we will. Can you imagine just because you didn't sing the damn national anthem, they're gonna put you to death? That's ridiculous.
Well, they weren't in a country where I guess they thought that would happen. No, they thought the Ayatollah and his rules on that were going to be there forever, and you wouldn't have done such a thing. But you know what? I would have brought them here, and I would have aimed every speaker I had at wherever the Ayatollah was,
Oh,
and played our national anthem.
yeah.
If the Italian women's soccer team was willing to that because they didn't want to sing their own and they wanted to sing ours, I would have played ours, or I would have played something just to get the point across that hey, this is ridiculous. We're starting to make politicians out of sports players, and we don't need to do that. I mean, if a guy or a girl who is no longer in professional sports wants to run for an office, that's okay. But going up to these people in the middle of the Olympics and asking them a politician's question is completely and totally out of place.
Well, you have to remember the whole idea of the Olympics was to keep from going to war. So you would send your best of your best to
Mhm.
represent your nation, and then whatever person won, that's where the glory goes to.
Right,
So in a sense, it's always been politicized.
right.
Just that it's getting more to where we're sending people over to these Olympics, we're paying their way and so forth, and they kick us in the face. They're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to represent our country, not not to
Right.
uh,
Well, right. But then they won't come back from where they were
yeah.
because they're too afraid of what's going to happen here in the United States. And if you have to worry about Sharia law coming after you, well, that's wrong anyway. But if you have to worry about the law coming after you, then maybe you need to look at what's going to come out of your mouth or where you're going to be when you say it. It's like Rosie O'Donnell left and went to Italy. I mean, yeah, Ireland, because she said, I got to get Trump out of my head. What did she do? She went to Ireland and she did everything she did before, like two times over, and continued. And I don't think anybody really cared what she was doing.
Well, didn't she come back to the United States? I
I
think
think
she's
she
back in
did.
the States.
I think she did. I think she's back in the States.
Yeah, she needs to make money.
Well, that too, but I also think that the most part of it was that her children that went with her to Ireland made it very clear they wanted to return to the United States. Whether or not she wanted to return was up to her, but they wanted to return. And I think, as a responsible co parent, she made it clear to them that I want to be with you too. So she came back because she's really at this point allowed to do everything that she was doing in Ireland anyway. You
Yeah.
know,
But I don't understand. I mean, in Hollywood, the way Hollywood is, they're okay with making multiple millions of dollars, on movies and tickets
Yep.
and doing this and doing that, but they want to kick the conservatives in the face. Oh my God, I just saw the lead singer for Bono. Uh,
Bono's lead singer.
he is accused of eating South African children. Um, and had his picture, and it had an image of a plate with meat on it.
Oh God.
And when you look at the meat, it kind of looks like roast beef tips, but knowing that is not roast beef,
If it comes out, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's just sickening to think that they have evidence to suggest that he was on this guy's yacht and they were being served South African children.
If it is proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that that is what happened, that is what he took part in, that is what he endorses, then I don't know what you do, but you make it clear to him that this is not acceptable from a citizen of the United States. If you want to do this, then you need to go to South Africa. And if the bulk of you in South Africa are doing this, then we're going to go after you. Because not everybody in South Africa eats children. Elon Musk came from South Africa. He doesn't eat children, or at least we don't know. But right now we're led to believe that the wealthiest man in the world does not eat children.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a part of storyline about him. They're doing an interview about his life growing up in South Africa, and he grew up poor. I mean,
from what I understand, his father is where the money came from at the time, and his father just, his mother wanted to leave and go beef.
Well, from what I got from the interview is that his father was a son of a gun. In fact, he tricked the marriage. His mom was saying that she wanted nothing to do with this guy,
right?
And he proposed to her, and she turned him down. And then he contacted her family saying, "Hey, guess what? We're getting married." Blah blah blah. And I guess the tradition with her family is, well, this is an arranged marriage. So they went and got the whole thing started. She had to marry the guy, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but Elon, indicated he grew up very very bad environment.
From what I understand, his father was abusive. They've since quote unquote made up, and
well, yeah, Dad wants his money.
Well, that may be true, but
then I saw
you got to show me, Dad, before I give you any of my money.
I mean,
any of yours. So why should I give you some of mine?
And then I saw a video of his one son who transgendered, and when you first look at the video, you have to look close because the transgender did a really good job of making him look like a female.
Well, Daddy's the wealthiest person in the world.
Well, apparently, Daddy didn't pay for anything. The boy claims that the people were asking him that he had like a $40 billion trust fund, and the boy said no, he does not have that, and he has no access to his dad's wealth, and he doesn't want his dad's wealth.
Good, he gets to be himself,
yeah.
not what Daddy tells me to be or what he thinks Daddy is going to tell him to be. If you want to be something that you're not, you should have that right. But, whether or not the decision is right or okay or, I don't care. If you don't hurt anybody and you make that decision and you are happy, then that's how you should be. If you're not happy and you're killing people and robbing banks and living this and doing that, then something's wrong.
Yeah. So I was getting close to my time, so I want to close out this segment of our broadcast with this.
There won't be a broadcast on Wednesday.
Yep.
Because I had to move times around. But so there will be a broadcast on Wednesday. There will be a broadcast on Friday, or there will be a later broadcast on Wednesday. That's an option too. Has to check with Randy on his schedule either to make sure that there will. I'd like to make it 7 o'clock, and I may do that with someone else who has a bunch of stuff to present. But I don't know. I don't know what we'll do. But anyway, wait, there it goes. There it is.
Yeah, yeah, I love that boogie.
I, I do. I have to turn my volume down a bit. I had to turn my volume up to hear it, and it is actually very good because it's actually true without knowing that it's true. We do fuss, we do fight, we
Yeah,
come back.
and again, like I said before, I only wrote 5 lines, and I didn't put anything in there like the fighting, the fussing, and stuff like that, and the ancestor thing. I don't know how it figured it out, but it does. But
Yep,
suno.com, $10 a month gets you 1,000 songs. If you
yep,
want to do the freebie way, you get 5 songs a day. You own the rights
yep,
to it, so Facebook and all those can go, fly a kite.
yep,
But yeah,
yep,
it's good to go. A great show. One for the books, and I'm
yep.
gonna jump out of here, Dave. You take it over.
Okay. All right, Randy. Randy Rhodes. All roads lead to home genealogy. Make sure that is where you are looking. They are not the biggest, they are the best. They will find things about you that you didn't know about you. They will go off and find more that you didn't know about you sometimes. And I think you'll be very happy. I don't know how much time you get right now uh, for free. So you talk to Randy, and he'll give you that information, and he'll show you what he finds, and you go from there. Anyway, I'm Dave Woolman, and you're not. I'm not going to give a long goodbye today. I actually woke up in a good mood with very little to go off on, except the Jim Price Show daily update at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you are watching that. The American Rebellion at 7 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Make sure you're watching that. Why? Because this pretty face is one of the people on the panel. The show's hosted by Jerry Michaels. And let's see, Jen Woodruff is there. And a whole bunch of other people. Jen's back on Tuesdays on there with Straight Talk with Jen Trivia. So make sure you watch that as well. And I think that covered it. If you do a podcast, broadcast, whatever you want to call it, make sure you let me know, and we'll plug it as best as we can within what we are allowed to do. I have to apologize to one group because there was the question as to whether or not video in it is copyrighted. And if it is, I couldn't claim fair use because we wanted to use it a different way. So you got to make sure things are legal. But on that note, I'm Dave Goldman, and you're not. And